Italian Football Podcast.
Hello everybody and welcome to this special reaction podcast on the Italian Football Podcast. I'm Carlo Garganese. Two massive games tonight in the Champions League. Two must-win games for Napoli and for Juventus. Let's start with Napoli, who played in the early evening game at the Stadio Maradona against Eintracht Frankfurt, and they could only manage a desperately disappointing goalless draw against Frankfurt, a result that puts Napoli's future in the competition this season a little bit at risk. Very, very disappointing. 3 points from 3 games going into this game. So Napoli, they simply had to win this match. Obviously, a lot of injuries, decimated coming into the game. Lukaku, De Bruyne, Spinazzola, Meret, Gilmour. Luka was suspended. So a lot of players out. But Lobotka was back. He started. Elmas had to play as well. But really, Napoli needed to win this game. And they should be winning games like this at home to Frankfurt. They couldn't do it. The story of the match really was they dominated possession and territory, 64% of possession in this game. But they really didn't create much. They didn't create enough really big chances in this game. Clear-cut chances, very little. And this game underlined once again, like I spoke in detail on our Monday pod, that Napoli's attack is a problem, and that this is a team that are struggling to create with the players that they have, even more so now with the players that are missing. And Napoli tonight played against an Eintracht Frankfurt team who had conceded 31 goals in 14 games going into this game, which is the second worst defense in the Bundesliga. They'd conceded 11 goals in 3 games in the Champions League before this game. And Napoli should not be having a problem, even with the injuries, creating and scoring at home against this team. A team who also, let's remember, didn't have their fans with them. So it's not good enough. The XG, expected goals, may tell you that Napoli had, I think, a 1.9, it says. But the majority of those chances were an accumulation of low expected goals, chances or shots, and once you add them all up, it creates 1.9. But very little kind of big chances. I think the only really big chances, they had a Højlund one early on from close range, and then McTominay really should have scored when Anguissa did a fantastic run and cut it back. Latter part of the game, Napoli kind of put on a little bit more pressure, and they were trying to force it, but yeah, Frankfurt were able to defend very comfortably. They were negative. They put a lot of men behind the ball, but Napoli never really looked like opening them up. It looked very predictable. And the attack is a problem for Napoli. Last season, as I said on Monday, this Napoli attack was one of the weakest attacks we've ever seen from a Scudetto winner, let's be honest, especially after Kvaratskhelia left mid-season. And this season, they tried to address that. They spent over 100 million. Luka, Lang, Højlund, 100 million on attackers. And given the Lukaku injury, I'm not sure whether the attack is any stronger this season than it was. And we'll have to see if some of these players can come good. But right now, it's not. And, you look at the numbers, they're not good enough. I mean, Politano and Neres, no goals at all this season. They haven't scored. 3 assists between them. And, not really making much of an impact in games like this. Lang and Luka, Conte clearly doesn't seem to trust. Lang did come on late in this game, but if you see have a look at his read his pre-match comments, and that tells you that he doesn't really trust these players. So yeah, it's a problem for Napoli. 2 0-0 draws in a row, and the attack just looks impotent. It looks more impotent than Pele. right now. So yeah, and that puts the Champions League qualification at risk. It does. 4 points from 4 games is not a good return. 10 points is usually the magic mark to get through. So Napoli needs 6 points from their last 4 games. We're at the halfway point now. Their last 4 games are Qarabag at home, Benfica away, Copenhagen away, Chelsea at home. They can still do it. You would probably say, given they play Qarabag and Copenhagen, they still should do it. But at the moment, they're not creating enough, even against the weaker teams. They've had a very poor Champions League campaign, both in results and in performances, and the pressure is on both for Napoli and for Antonio Conte, with the injuries obviously not helping either. And Conte's Champions League record again is under scrutiny. He's struggling once again. This has been going on for over a decade. He's struggling once again to get performances and results in the Champions League. He's still got time to rescue this, but he's running out of time again this season. And after the game, we saw there was more excuses from Conte. He was blaming Frankfurt for playing catenaccio. He says they learned from the Italians how to play catenaccio. He said they were too cautious, which ruined the game, made it hard for them. Conte was blaming the fact that they're playing every 3 days. He says it's much harder for me and for the medical team to plan and prepare the players for every 3 days. But he's basically with that one line of saying it's harder to play every 3 days. He's literally summed up his weakness of his career, which is he doesn't know how to plan and prepare his team every 3 days. So we're seeing that. But on the positive side, Napoli controlled this game. They just didn't really create enough. And the defence is a positive. If we're going to try and take something from a positive, a second clean sheet in a row for a Napoli defence that was really, they conceded 6 in the last match day in the Champions League, and they were really leaking too many goals. Now with the more of a settled centre-back partnership of Rachmani and Buongiorno, this game, Frankfurt barely threatened at all. I think they had one chance, which was a fluke, the way it come about, when Now had a good chance and it was parried away by Milinkovic-Savic. But apart from that, nothing at all. So that's one positive. They need to try and build on that, but they need to start scoring. And it doesn't matter if they're getting clean sheets. If they don't start scoring, they're not going to qualify from this group, which from this league phase, which will be a complete disaster. So yeah, very disappointing night for Napoli, who now need to rescue this in the last 4 match days of the Champions League phase. So let's move to Juventus now, who, like Napoli, really needed to win this match. They went into this game with only 2 points from 3 games, but like Napoli, unfortunately failed to win. They draw as well, 1-1 at home against Sporting Lisbon. Maxi Araujo giving Sporting the lead early on. Dusan Vlahovic equalising also in the second half. And this result puts Juventus really at big risk of being eliminated from the league phase. But if we take a step back away from the result that Juventus actually needed in this game, in truth, Juventus played a good game tonight. They deserve to win, and they're very unlucky not to win this game. And to be honest, it's difficult to be too critical of Juventus's overall performance here tonight. I'll get into it. Luciano Spalletti stuck with the 3-man back line again, like he played against Cremonese. He's only had a few training sessions. This is only his second game. This is his first home game. Not enough time. So he's decided to stick with this it was more of a 3-4-2-1 in this game. Openda was dropped, and Conceição came in with Yildiz back in the team from injury behind Vlahovic. Koopman is left centre-back again. And Juventus really played an excellent first half, although they went behind and Sporting actually had a chance, with a half chance. They hit the bar with a deflected shot that would have made it 2-0. Juventus completely dominated the first half. They showed really a lot of positives, which Juventus need to take forward. There was lots of energy, lots of intensity, really up and at Sporting, first to the ball, pressing, counter-pressing, stealing the ball. then launching really fast attacks, putting some good moves together, and the kind of lethargy that we'd seen under Igor Tudor. Yeah, and we already, it's only 2 games, but already it looks like a Juventus team that looks much better conditioned and a lot fitter. We'll see whether that's just a kind of a new manager bounce or whether that's here to stay. But very positive signs from that respect. Juventus were faster to the ball than Sporting, and they physically looked really good in that first half anyway. But generally all round, and so that was really positive. And Dusan Vlahovic played a really exceptional first half, especially, but a really good game. Full stop. He had 3 shots on target within the first 20 minutes. He had a great header, which I don't know how the goalkeeper saved. It was a miracle save when at 1-0 to Sporting. He then got his deserved equaliser. I don't know how many shots he had on target in this game. It's definitely at least 5. So he was really, really dangerous. He was really involved. He was putting his weight about. Vlahovic has been really good in these last 3 games. He needs to keep that up. And, there was some other positive individual performances, especially in that first half. Conceição really lively every time he got the ball. Yildiz showing some moments of class. The flick to Thuram when Thuram set up the goal for Vlahovic. Also, he did another really good bit of play on the left where he cut it back to Conceição, whose shot was deflected inches wide. Juventus created lots of chances in that first half and really, just deserved to be ahead at the break and deserved to win this game. Actually, if you look at the XG in this game, it was, I think, around about 1.4 to Juventus, 0.21 to Sporting. It's hard to think of another save that Di Gregorio had to make in this game. So, really, really, unlucky. If we're going to try and take the positives, if Juventus can keep playing like this every game, then they're going to do well under Spalletti. So that's the positives. As the longer the game went on, the second half wasn't as good as the first half. Maybe Juventus put too much in the first half, but they were still in control. In fact, they were the bosses on the pitch in the second half. But they looked less threatening as the game went on. Spalletti's subs, don't know how much to blame him, but Spalletti's subs, he didn't make any to the last 20 minutes. Maybe should have done something earlier on, but they didn't work. And, taking off Yildiz, Conceição, Thuram, and then later Vlahovic when you're trying to win or when you need to win this game, maybe that was a mistake. But at the same time, big teams need to have squads, and this is obviously a problem. Juventus don't have a bench. They don't have the quality and depth. They're not equipped to play in 2 competitions with the squad that's been constructed for them by the poor Mercato. The bench isn't good enough, and the players that came on, clearly don't improve the team, and they're not at the same level of the players that they're replacing. That's just a fact, unfortunately. The first 11 of Juventus is a lot higher than the players coming on, and that's a problem with the way the team's been constructed, and that's demonstrated in deep into injury time, 3rd minute of injury time, one of the last moments of the game. Jonathan David has come on as a sub. Cross comes in from the right, really big chance, and he doesn't put it away. And what frustrates me the most, Jonathan David misses a big chance to win Juventus the game. And what does he do after he's missed the chance? He applauds the person that puts in the cross. It's 1 minute of the game left. Why are you clapping? That's such loser behavior. It just drove me mad. It drove me mad. I mean, you just missed a chance. It's not the 10th minute of the game where you're applauding. It's all over. The game's over now. You've missed the chance. But don't applaud the cross. It's just that drove me mad. But if we're being honest, it can't be too critical of Juventus for this game. They deserve to win the game. They created the chances. They had all the shots. As I said, 1.4 xG to 0.21. They were just missing the luck, and they were missing the luck. And now, unfortunately, Juventus are at this big risk of going out. And, they've got 3 points from 4 games. 10 points is the magic number to get through. So they need 7 points from the 12 available. And the remaining games are Bodo Glimt away, Paphos at home, Benfica at home, Monaco away. So on those fixtures, they can still do it. They should be winning their next 2 games, Bodo Glimt away and Paphos at home. That would take them up to 9 points. And then they need, 1 point could possibly be enough to take them through from those last 2 games. So they can still do it. But like Napoli, they're under pressure now to get these results. And they needed to win. They needed to win this game. And unfortunately, they didn't. It's another game they've conceded in. They're not getting clean sheets. And Locatelli, I don't know if it's a hamstring injury or if it's just cramp. I think, again, because of the lack of depth, even, Juventus need to pray that's not a hamstring injury. But it's unfortunate. Just one other quick note: the ref was a complete wanker in this game. No control of the game. Treating players like kids. I hate referees that treat players like children. So many yellows for kind of strange stuff, but then missing clear yellows. Gives Cambiasso a yellow for waving an imaginary yellow card, which, you're not supposed to do. It's not sportsmanlike. But did you see what Hjulman did? The most blatant yellow card ever to get to the Cambiasso just reacted to, which sometimes you naturally react. He pulled him back. It was a clear yellow, but he's the one that gets punished for retaliating. And this was just kind of summed up the referee. He got so many decisions wrong. Most of the minor decisions, but so many free kicks wrong for both teams going the wrong way. He was allowing Sporting to take a minute on every goal kick. He was just very irritating referee and not good at all. Not a good result for Juventus, unfortunately. Not a good night for Serie A. That's Juventus and Napoli, both at risk really now of going out. They've got it all to do now. They've got no more. They've used all their lives up now, and they have to get it spot on from here. It's not good. Tomorrow, Wednesday, Nima will be doing a post-match on Inter's home game against Kairat Almaty and Atalanta's trip to France to play Marseille. Let's hope for some better results there. Until then, do sign up on patreon.com/TIFP to get all of our content for just $3.99 a month. Otherwise, have a good evening and see you next time. Ciao, ciao.